Is college still worth it? That's the question that I've been asking myself for the last few years, and if you're anything like me, you're probably asking it too, because we've seen technology change constantly and the prices get jacked way up, and some will even argue that the actual power or influence of the degree has been downgraded in recent years. So, does it make sense for me? Should I spend my money on a degree or do something else? That's what we're gonna find out today. According to the Census Bureau, the average worker who has a bachelor's degree is making $1,300 per week based off of 2021, while someone without it, just a high school diploma, is making $938. So that's about $300 difference, and if you do that over 52 weeks in a year, that's a difference of about $16,000. Now that's every single year, and that doesn't account for the job positions that you can get later on if you have a degree. A lot of management requires a degree. That is definitely going away. A lot more companies are taking on people without college degrees into management positions, especially if they've been with the company for a long time. But it's just something to keep in mind. So if you're able to do college for really cheap and it automatically gets you $16,000 a year or more, then, well, you've already made the return on your investment and it was a good decision. Now, of course, the obvious downside, the biggest problem with college now is that it's too expensive, right? There's so much debt being taken on and it weighs people down for so long. You spend about $10,000 a year at a 4-year public university, and you spend about $36,000 a year if you go to a private one. So we're talking anywhere from 40 grand over 4 years, all the way to 120 grand. And what's worse is this doesn't account for books, food, and all the extra stuff that comes with college. So we're talking about much more expensive, probably a minimum barrier of $60K for the public college if you account all the expenses. And so it's no wonder that the average student debt is nearly $30,000, and it takes the average debt payer 21.2 years just to pay it back. Now, of course, nowadays we have student loan forgiveness kind of kicking in, and the interest rates are kind of low, so maybe it makes sense to let it go for longer. People aren't as worried about it. But at the end of the day, that's a lot of debt weighing down on you, making it harder to get a loan on a home or to buy a car or to start a business. And it's always gonna cause some stress and anxiety and weigh down on you and your finances. And again, if you're spending that much money, is the return on your investment worth the price that you pay? Now, I don't know exactly where you are. Maybe you're in high school looking towards the future thinking, should I do college? Or maybe you're in college thinking, should I continue? Does this even make sense? Well, I've been in all those positions. For me, I started thinking about it about senior year of high school, which was a little late, and I felt the stress and the pressure of choosing the right college, figuring out what I want to do. And I know everybody pretty much feels that way, right? Unless you're one of that lucky 1% that knows, I'm gonna be a doctor, and they actually commit to it and they're happy. Well, good for them, but that wasn't me, and that probably isn't you either. So I started looking at colleges, and mistake number one, I didn't even consider that there were alternatives to going to college. I just assumed that's what everybody does. It's what you do if you're smart or if you want to be successful and if you want to make your parents proud, all that stuff. I just knew that I had to do college and I didn't consider anything else. And what's worse is mistake number two, I started college not even knowing what I wanted to do at all. And I know I'm not alone in this. In fact, there's some data out there saying like almost 50% of college students end up changing their major at least once. And there's a lot of time and money costs that go with that. And it's because no one really knows what they want to do because they just go straight from high school to college. They're kind of forced into it. They don't have time to sit down, think, try new things without there being high costs. So what I wish I had done was take a gap year. That would have been really smart on my part before college, just figure things out, figure out what I want to do, and then go from there. And if I decided I needed college or I wanted it after that, great. But at least I'd have a better running start knowing what I wanted to do and having a little bit of experience on me. But I didn't do that, and instead I signed up for community college. And while that wasn't the worst thing in the world, in fact, going to community college is a great thing to do if you want to start off cheap. I would highly recommend it. However, it's not necessarily going to help you figure out what you want to do, most likely. It's a bunch of basic classes for 2 years, like math and science, and I think I took geology, rocks are for jocks, and I didn't really learn anything new about myself in those 2 years. And by the end of it, I felt just as lost. Thankfully, I didn't spend too much time or too much money, but I had spent enough that I felt like I was already started, sunken costs, and so I kept going on to university. Now, I thought about taking a gap year, and I really should have. Once again, this was the second time I had considered taking a gap to slow things down, but I felt like I had to keep going. A lot of pressure, right? And so instead of taking a year or two to try things on my own or start a business or just really think things through, I didn't. I went straight to university, and that's when they want you to sign up for a degree. They want you to decide what you're going to do. And I think this is the point at which a lot of people start changing their majors left and right. Thankfully for me, marketing ended up turning out really, really great, but I had no idea going into it how things would go. There was a lot of uncertainty for something like college that's supposed to be the safe option. So after 4 years, was college worth it for me? The answer is yes, but I definitely could have done without it. Now, a few things helped it make sense for me. One, I made it super affordable. I did all 4 years for only a few $1,000s, and I made a video breaking down how I did that. If you want to check that out, it might be very useful for you. Just click above, go watch it at the end of the video. But another thing that I did was I chose a degree that actually was very marketable. It would help me out in the future. It would be growing. And that might have been a little bit by luck, a little bit by some research, but just make sure that you're putting in that effort if you're choosing a degree at college. And of course, if you need your education to be highly structured, you need to be told what to do, you're not really a self-starter, then college might be right for you, because what I found is a lot of the stuff they gave you, I could have gone and done on my own, but the question is, would I have? Would I have known where to find the resources? Would I have committed to a schedule? Would I have done the homework and everything that they asked me to do? And that's just a question that you are going to have to ask yourself. One last thing I want to mention before we conclude the video is some alternatives to going to college. And this is exactly what I wish people had shared with me when I was thinking about college, when I was thinking about taking a gap, and everything in between, because college is not the only option. One, maybe what you want to do doesn't require a degree, so don't just go to college to be smarter, because you can learn through self-help books and websites and videos much, much easier, much faster, and usually even for free or very cheap. Now, if you want to do something very specific like construction or something, manual, physical, then you probably don't need a degree. I mean, you could do it, but it doesn't make much sense. You can start making bank right away if you go to like a trade school or an apprenticeship where you work underneath somebody. Or maybe you're doing something very handsy like a graphic designer, and it's all about building up your portfolio and your skills that you're building. Well, you can start learning on your own. You can start building your own portfolio and pitching to clients. And if you want some credibility, then put together that portfolio and also maybe do a certification program. There's a lot of colleges that host certification programs that are just a few days or a few weeks. And yeah, they cost money, but not near as much as a degree. And it might just be enough to get you in the door with some clients. And then one last thing I'd recommend is starting your own business. Start doing some side hustles so you can explore different interests and see what you're capable of, or maybe go join a startup company. So again, we ask, is college right for you? I can't tell you that, but based on everything that we've talked about today, you can make a good decision, even if that's just, I need to hold off on college because I don't know what I'm going to do. But if you know you want to do college, you know it's right for you, then great. Find a way to do it cheap and faster. And remember, I made a video teaching you how I did exactly that, so make sure to click on my right, give that a go. I'll see y'all next Friday.